What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. As always, joined by your host, singular host tonight. It is just me, Alex Fischbein. The other two have a bit of a night off this week, so letting Dennis and Mike rest up. I think Mike is drafting for a fantasy league as well, so he's doing his thing. Dennis needs to rest up, get some sleep. Man's been overworked over there, so Dennis will be sitting this one out as well. So you just got me. But with that being said, this wasn't going to be that long of an episode this week anyway, because if we're being honest, the NBA is in a bit of a lull right now. NFL starts in T-minus 2 days. So most of the Americans, at least, will be focusing on the NFL and football when that comes up here. And, excuse me, clearing my throat. Basketball-wise, we have the FIBA World Cup. We have the WNBA, for those that watch that. I do watch my own good bit of WNBA, so no disrespect to anybody that watches it. I don't want to see any disrespect either. And then really that's about it right now. No training camp, no preseason. We're just waiting to kind of see some rumors of people's health and, some training videos and open runs and crap like that, but we're getting close. We're getting close to basketball training camps. We are getting there. Our guy Tyler back on watching the show. Tyler, welcome back. It's been a while since we've seen you on here. He says, yes, sir, football. Yep, football is coming. I have joined way too many fantasy leagues this year. Probably more than really needs to be played. But hopefully that nets me something. We shall see. Only time will tell. As far as I know, Travis Kelce getting hurt definitely doesn't help me in at least one of them. So that sucks to hear. But we are here for basketball. And before I get started, for all of you watching on YouTube, if you could please drop a like below, hit the bell for notifications whenever we go live. We usually go live Tuesdays around 7 p.m. Sometimes it's like 7:30. If we change up the day, usually we put that out there early. But usually Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard or Daylight Savings Time, whatever that is, Eastern New York City time. And all of our podcasts are everywhere you get them audio-wise as well. We're on Spotify, Apple, Google, Podcast Addict, all those things. So on there, we just ask that you review, subscribe, helps us out greatly, and share it with a friend. So with that being said, let's get into some FIBA action here. So the Team USA lost. They suffered their first loss of the World Cup. They lost to Lithuania, which, to be fair, ended up really not mattering. It really was just for some seeding going into the knockout stages. And what ended up happening is the USA drew the easier matchup, while Lithuania actually ended up losing to Serbia. So what it amounts to actually ended up being great for Team USA. But either way, like I said, their first loss of the World Cup, and we will bring up some highlights here as I talk about it. The game was, I don't know, it was just very uninspired from Team USA. They really just, I don't know, watching them just didn't feel good. It didn't feel like they were playing together as a team. Lithuania took control early on, and it seemed like it just ruined the vibes of the whole team. They just kind of played down. And then when they started to make a little bit of a comeback, it always started going a little bit more Lithuania's favor, a little bit more. Then they would come back and then Lithuania would go a little bit more their side. So they could just never fully come back to everything. Anthony Edwards was, on fire. He was really the main driver of the entire offense. He was the main guy scoring any of the buckets. And he took a ton of shots. I think he took around like 26, 27 shots. And he put up 35 points, which actually ties Carmelo Anthony for the second most in a World Cup game for Team USA. Everyone knows Anthony Edwards can score. This guy has the talent. He can do really anything that he wants to do in terms of scoring the basketball on any stage. And the big thing that Team USA always struggles with, especially when it's newer guys that haven't been playing the international style of ball, is they're just not used to the physicality. International ball is always more physical. Tyler here says, is Harden not going to play for the Sixers at all? I don't think James Harden will play for the Sixers. I truly don't. Don't think he will play for them, even if they don't find like an official trade partner. I don't think that he'll just all of a sudden come back and start playing. He'll probably hold out. If he needs to lose some money, honestly, I feel like he probably will. He could do the whole fat suit and just be an annoyance and just be around the team and whatever it may be, forcing the team to have to sit him so that he doesn't lose money, whatever it may be. I could see that happening as well, but I don't think he's going to play for them. I think that they're going to try as best as they can to find a deal before the regular season actually starts, and he won't end up playing for them. Honestly, I hope that's the case. So we shall see on that front. But yeah, Team USA always struggles with the physicality when it comes to international basketball. A lot of the rules in the NBA kind of make it harder for defenders to play as physical as the European leagues allow for. So when it comes to these games, most of the time, the NBA players that haven't played at all in the World Cup or in the Olympics or so on and so forth just aren't used to not getting the calls that they normally would in the NBA. You can say what you want about so-and-so being soft or so-and-so not being soft, whatever. They're just... the fact of the matter is, if you haven't played that and you're not used to it, it's going to take at least a game or two to get used to and see what you can get away with and see what you're going to have to endure from the defenders that are on you, especially when it comes to low post players and things like that. It's a whole different animal where, things that Joel Embiid might get away with in the NBA in the low post and might get called fouls for aren't getting really called in the international game. And honestly, to me, that could be a sneaking suspicion on my part of why Embiid doesn't really play in World Cup or international ball or whatever it may be, despite the fact that he's also usually rehabbing in the offseason almost every year. He's not going to get those calls. And that's one thing that always seems to hold him back when it comes to playoff basketball, because I would say that playoffs in the NBA are the closest thing to the physicality of international, European, EuroLeague, whatever it may be, style of physicality. So maybe it's a little bit of a conspiracy here. I don't know. But again, that's usually the learning curve that newer American players to the international game have. And it was very evident in some of them against Lithuania, because Lithuania dominated the boards. They were way more physical. They punched USA in the mouth, and obviously USA couldn't get anything going because of that. So they took that loss. USA bounced back in a huge way. Destroyed Italy 100-63. And like I said before, it actually ended up playing into Team USA's favor, because Italy versus Serbia is a big difference. Serbia would have been a much more difficult game in general. Italy, and that's no disrespect to Italy. Italy did have an easier road to get to the knockout stages than a lot of the teams had that are in the current knockout stages right now. Um, and Italy just wasn't as strong of a team as a Serbia, a Lithuania, um, a Germany, or a Canada. So facing Italy right off the bat in the quarterfinals was a nice little consolation prize to losing to Lithuania. And we'll bring up those highlights here as well. But I mean, this game was night and day better than the game against Lithuania. I mean, it was also nice in this one just to see the team style of play coming back. Really, Halliburton was amazing. He all of his points came from the 3-point line, and his ball distribution always very very good. Really on display in this game as well. Austin Reeves chipping in, Mikal Bridges leading the team in points. We all know that Mikal Bridges can bring a very good offensive firepower to any game that he's in. But it just looked really nice because the whole team seemed connected. The team chemistry seemed a whole lot better than the one against Lithuania. There still was a little bit of physical play, but Italy just wasn't as physical as Lithuania was. And I think on top of that, USA was just more prepared in case they were physical because they had to endure it against Lithuania and figure out how to combat that. And so this game, all around, everyone having fun, everyone smiling, everyone playing well on both sides of the ball. It was just an all around great display, great game, and just really like I would say just a great teamwork point of view with this team. Tyler here says you see that Philippine player. They say he's really good and should get a contract. Which one do you mean? Because I know. Are you talking about the? Is it the Philippines, the one that played with Jordan Clarkson, or are you talking about the Puerto Rico team? Because Tremont Waters was on the Puerto Rican team. He was a guy that I already liked in the beginning, but he was drafted by the Celtics when he first came out of school and went on to play for their G League team. And I think that Tremont Waters does have a case to be at least on an NBA bench. But he was near the top of the World Cup for scoring, near the top of the World Cup for assists per game, if not the top. So he also would be a good player to find for a contract. But yeah, Team USA, I just think they just looked like they were enjoying basketball in this game. And almost any time you see a team that just looks like they're having fun and enjoying basketball, they're almost always playing well. I wouldn't say because of it. Sometimes they look like they're enjoying it because they're playing well, but sometimes they're playing well because they look like they're enjoying it. So it can go both ways, really. But yeah, it just was a demolishment. I mean, just completely destroyed. And that's just, when you run into a powerhouse of a team like USA usually is, and they are pissed off because they lost and they're looking to make a statement to come back, that's just one of those games that, you really have to show up like 300% better than what you normally are because they're going to bring 300% to recoup all of the embarrassment they might have faced from the game before. That's just that's just how that always goes, whether it's like, in the NFL when a team loses, when say like the Chiefs lose to the lowest team in the league, like the Texans or something, and then they go and face a good team, but it's like, no, now the Chiefs are pissed. Or when it comes to, the Denver Nuggets losing to the Detroit Pistons, so they come out the next game and just beat the brakes off of whoever they're facing. honestly just feels like it happens every single time. Now, when it comes to USA actually getting a gold medal, they have to go through Germany. Their next semifinal game is against Germany. The other side of, I believe it's Germany, actually. Let me bring up here the bracket. Oh, actually, well, so they play the winner of Germany versus Latvia, it looks like. And they play, well, for us East Coast United States people, they play tomorrow, which would mean Wednesday at 4:45 a.m. So U.S. plays the winner of Germany and Latvia. Honestly, that could be Latvia because Latvia has played very well in this World Cup, despite not having Kristaps Porzingis on the floor. So they very well could be facing Latvia, but most likely are going to play Dennis Schroeder and Germany. And then on the other side, um, Serbia is waiting to play the winner of Canada versus Slovenia, which should honestly be a very entertaining game. Luka Doncic in Slovenia versus um, Dylan Brooks and Gilgeous Alexander and all of those guys for Team Canada. I think that game is going to be pretty fun to watch, especially just in the international game. This is now where we're getting down to the nitty gritty of all the top teams really battling it out. So that should be a really fun game to see and see who actually comes out on top of that one. But yeah, the winner of that game would then go on to play Serbia. Um, both of those semifinal games will be played on Friday. Lithuania is waiting to play the loser of Canada, Slovenia, and Italy is waiting to play the loser of Germany, Latvia. So that's your little FIBA World Cup update there. Tyler says his name is Renz Abando. Oh, I did. Yes. So I have seen a little bit of him. I haven't gone back to watch the full tape of him, but from what I've seen, he does look really good. He looked, I mean, one of their best players along with Jordan Clarkson. But I mean, I do think that, a lot of these displays in either the World Cup or the Olympics or so on and so forth can get some guys some good looks at a contract in the NBA. So hopefully someone brings him in, lets him, go through a training camp, go through preseason and gives him a shot. I'd like to see more and more international guys coming in through the NBA and, iron sharpens iron. So the more international players that come into the U.S. and play in the NBA are going to only make the U.S. players better because they're not going to want to lose their top spots. So, yeah, I say, at least give him an Exhibit 10 and training camp deal and see what he's got. I would like to see it. So let's move on here. Before we get to our Pacific Division preview, continuing our divisional preview series heading into the next season, I want to talk a little bit about this Eric Lewis situation. Now, for those that don't know, Eric Lewis is, well, now an ex-NBA referee. He retired to avoid, well, seemingly to avoid an investigation. The NBA launched an investigation into his social media and social media use because fans seem to have found a burner account that everyone believes belongs to the official. Now, there was already, pictures of the official's family members and even him, like back in the day, I think, wearing Boston Celtics gear. So they already believed he was biased for the Boston Celtics because he was always a Celtics fan. And someone found in the games that he refed that involved the Celtics had a 54-29 record. I mean, Eric Lewis has been he's been an NBA ref for quite a while. I forget exactly how long, but it's been quite a while, enough to ref that many games of just the Boston Celtics. So the thing that happened here. So a Twitter account with the account tag as Cutliff Blair was found to be created in 2015 and had 0 followers 8 years later when people started looking into it. As I said, everyone always accused him of being biased for the Celtics, but this burner account always responded to tweets that involved Eric Lewis. There are no Twitter accounts that are specifically out there to defend NBA referees, other than like maybe the official NBA referee account. But even then, they're not replying to people defending referees all the time. They're there to be in an official PR sense, to be able to, give out who might be working what games, or different the last 2-minute report of games for the referees and things like that. That's all that account does. There aren't even the most diehard of fans aren't out there on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, defending specific referees. So the fact that this account is only replying to tweets about referees is already a red flag in general. But now that it's replying to only tweets about a specific referee is a mega red flag. I mean, it has to raise alarms in every single person's head that might be thinking that referees could be biased. And the fact, if you have to create, or even your family has to create a burner account to defend the decisions or calls or opinions of a referee, makes it seem like you're a little guilty. Excuse me. I just don't think that if you had no stake in the game, or no opinion, or no real bias, that you would even go through the difficulties of creating a burner, trying to keep this burner secret, and still replying to all these tweets that specifically talk about you. It just looks fishier and fishier the more you look into it. And now, the burner account even responded to the accusations of being biased for the Celtics, and it said, "Not sure if that's true. Pretty sure there are other refs with similar stats with top teams. Smells like nothing to sniff." First off, that just sounds dumb in and of itself. Another user asked, "Is the league this stupid to allow Lewis to officiate Celtics games?" To which the burner then responded, "No, Twitter is because they believe this BS." Just always. And the account was following only 5 people. The George Mason women's basketball team, where Lewis's wife is the head coach, is one of them. And that has to... You're telling me of all the accounts to follow, they're following George Mason's women's team, who's not even one of the top women's teams. It's not like they're following UConn. It's not like they're following Baylor. It's not like they're following any of those types of teams. We're talking about George Mason, who his wife just happens to be the head coach at. And look, I am a fan of women's college and WNBA, but even the most diehard of WNBA and women's college basketball fans, they're not only following like one school or even just specifically only women's basketball. A lot of them are following even NBA or men's college or whatever. A lot of those other accounts are mixed in there. This has 0 followers, following 5 accounts, and one of them is that one. And now, mind you, NBA officials are not allowed to publicly comment on their calls without authorization, specific authorization from the league. So you're creating a burner so that you can actually talk about it without having to go to, the front office, whoever it may be, and make them and request permission to do so. Now, I'm gonna show a little video on here because somebody looked at all of the responses of this burner account, and it's bad. I mean, this person is ranking all the referees and had Eric Lewis down near the bottom. And this guy, so you watched every referee. Why was everyone going crazy about Chris Paul being 0-11 in games officiated by Scott Foster, but no one cares about LeBron having a whole 0-82 in games officiated by Eric Lewis? And this guy replied, just like they're not talking about Smurfs taking over London. What? That makes no sense. And literally every single one of these comments that have Eric Lewis even mentioned in it, he's replying to. There just makes no... I literally can't come up with even a devil's advocate argument with this, because every single thing points to it being his burner and him just blatantly trying desperately to defend himself in what looks really bad. I mean, it looks terrible. And the fact that the NBA launches their investigation and you retire 3 months later, and then all of a sudden the investigation stops. I'm not even a big conspiracy theorist. I'm really not. I'm not one that, really dives into the rabbit hole of all sorts of different things. The main, I guess if you call them conspiracies that I might believe in, are aliens and some ghosts and stuff like that, but spirits, stuff like that. But I'm not the guy that's looking on YouTube for all sorts of conspiracy theories and sorts of crazy things that happen in the world and stuff like that. So the fact that I can't even realistically come up with a good argument against it, just to me says that he's probably guilty. And he has a huge bias, and he's trying to defend it with burner accounts so that people would maybe be on his side and that maybe he wouldn't get an investigation. But the thing is, and this is what anybody, honestly, in any sort of public eye, celebrity, athlete, referee, whatever you are, if you are in the public eye, the internet will figure you out. That's what the internet is the best at. The internet will always figure you out and find something to sink you with. We're talking especially when it comes to burner accounts. You would think that anybody in the NBA would be done with this whole burner account thing after Colangelo got apparently his wife got found with a burner account and was fired and hasn't been in the NBA since. You would think after that whole fiasco and how many waves that created when that happened, you would think anybody in the NBA zeitgeist wouldn't even attempt to have some sort of burner, or their family wouldn't attempt to have some sort of burner account. Because the internet will figure it out. Every time. It's just going to happen. So, I think he's guilty, to be honest. But now he's retiring, so I guess it doesn't even matter at this point. So, moving on, let's preview the Pacific Division in our next division for our preview series here. So, for those watching on YouTube, let's bring up the standings from last year on the screen. Now, the Pacific Division, really, I would say the top division in the West. Every single team in the division had a winning record last year. Every single team made the playoffs last year. We had the Kings, who came in first at 48 and 34. The Suns in second at 45 and 37. The Clippers in third at 44 and 38. The Warriors in fourth at 44 and 38. The Lakers in fifth at 43 and 39. Now, I see a bit of a shakeup coming. The thing here to me is the Clippers are always going to be a wild card. They're literally always going to be a wild card because their success continually depends on the health of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Every year. And every year, they're not that healthy. So what happens? They have a decent record. They hover around 500. They get a little bit over 500. The playoffs come around and they lose. For the last few seasons. I don't think next year's going to be any different. I let myself get swept up in the Clippers hype train last year. I'm not going to do it this year. Just not going to do it. Even if they do trade for James Harden, I still don't see them doing much. I'm not falling for it. Listen up, Clippers. We're not falling for this shit again. We're just not. Tyler here says Clippers to the finals. Tyler, come on now. Come on. People have been saying Clippers to the finals for like 4 years now. However long Kawhi Leonard's been there, they've been saying Clippers to the finals. And it still hasn't happened. It's not going to happen. I think the Clippers this year finish in fourth. I think they drop a spot. I mean, they almost finished in fourth there. I guess they just had the tiebreaker with the Warriors. But I think the Clippers finish in fourth in the division. I still think the Lakers finish in fifth. However, I still think that the whole division does have winning records, just like they did this past season. I still think there's other teams in the West that are still growing, getting better, but they just won't be like a lot of things will shake out kind of like similarly mathematically. Maybe not the same exact teams, but mathematically it'll shake out to be around the same. So I think that the whole division still ends up having winning records. And I could even see the Clippers maybe getting down to fifth. However, for the sake of making a prediction right now, I see the Clippers in fourth and the Lakers in fifth. I see both LA teams in the bottom two. I do think Phoenix actually stays in second. Now, I know a lot of people right now, either listening or watching, are probably like, you are absolutely drunk. Phoenix got Kevin Durant. He's going to have a full season with them now. They got Bradley Beal. They still have Booker and Ayton. They went out in free agency and got a bunch of role players and so on and so forth. Excuse me. I still don't see them all staying healthy in a full season. And for those who listen and watch the Atlantic Files, you all know we talk about health a lot. Yeah, the whole adage of the best ability is availability, which usually proves to be true. But it's just the fact that Kevin Durant got another year older, and we've seen him not be too invincible over the last few years. I mean, last year when he got traded to Phoenix, he slipped on the court in warm-ups and missed like 2 to 3 weeks just from a slip and fall. That sounds like senior citizen stuff. So, I'm supposed to believe he's going to be healthy an entire season and make this team win the division in a really tough Western Conference that still has, the Denver Nuggets up there, the reigning champions. In the Southwest, a few teams that have gotten better, and Pelicans could be better than what they are if their team stays healthy. Mavericks should be better. Spurs got a little better. Houston got better. A lot of these other teams in the West also got better. The Suns are not the only one to get better. And on top of that, we're not going to act like Bradley Beal is the pinnacle of health. So there's a lot of ifs. There's a lot of question marks surrounding Phoenix. Too many for me to confidently say they're finishing in first. I think Sacramento stays in the first spot in the Pacific Division, and the Warriors go up and grab third. Now, the Warriors are a little bit older. They got rid of Jordan Poole. They got rid of, they also got rid of the rift that was happening there this whole time with Draymond and Jordan Poole. But the team itself still missed Wiggins for a while. There was a little bit of Draymond missing. There was a little bit of Steph missing. There was a little bit of Clay missing. There was a little bit of so-and-so and this guy missing and that guy missing. I think that they do move up. I think they go to third. So to me, this division is finishing Sacramento still first, Phoenix still second, Warriors third, and you know what? I'm going to say Lakers fourth, Clippers fifth. I see the Clippers coming in fifth. Their defense was the second best of this division. However, their offense was tied for the worst, coincidentally with Phoenix. But Phoenix's offense definitely got better. Their defense actually might not be that great. It says, technically they were the best defense in terms of opponents points allowed. However, now you lost Mikal Bridges. You lost Chris Paul. You lost a lot of guys that were helping out on defense. And you gained some offensive firepower, don't get me wrong, but you didn't really put together the greatest defensive players ever. So I see their defense taking a hit. The Clippers still dependent on health, like I said. Warriors defense, it will get better. This is one of the lesser of their defenses they've had in the past few seasons. The Lakers defense is okay. I think Sacramento's will get better. Their offense was top of the league. And that's in terms of scoring. They were top of the league, 120 points a game. The defense was also really bad. If I remember correctly, their defense was like fifth worst or so. Worst by far was San Antonio at 123, giving up 123 a game. That was just piss poor. But I think it does take a step up because now this team, really understands how to play together a little bit more. A couple guys get a little bit older. They really grasp the NBA game a little bit more. They understand the speed of the game. And I think they do improve. They added a few more centers to the team to see who will stick and maybe get some more boards and play some more defense in the reserve roles. They will all around, I think, improve that. And the offense will continue to stay better as long as it's led by De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and having Malik Monk come off the bench. So I'm still really high on Sacramento. like I said, I have Sacramento in first, Phoenix in second, Warriors in third, Lakers in fourth, Clippers in fifth. That's how I see this division shaking out. With that being said, like I was saying in the beginning of this episode, it was a pretty short one. Not much going on in the NBA right now. So, without further ado, I will say that is it here for me. Like I was alluding to earlier, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button below, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. It lets you know when we go live. We're going to be posting smaller clips of each of our episodes as well if you just want to see certain parts of the episode. We also have the time codes and the chapters in each episode, so you can skip ahead or skip to wherever you want to listen to or watch. We appreciate anyone tuning in. We really appreciate that, guys. Thank you so far for the 300 some subscribers. We're always trying to better our content, better what we give to you. So if you have any suggestions, also let us know. We're going to try to have guests, way more guests on here as well. That those are in the works. We have feelers out to a number of people. We should have some people that Dennis and I work with from Rotoballer. They should be coming on at some point as well to talk fantasy basketball. We'll have plenty of fantasy viewpoints coming throughout the season. And on top of that, if you listen, like your podcast on Spotify or Apple or Google, we're on all of those. Please subscribe, rate, review on those as well. That helps us out. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching another episode of The Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. And I will catch you guys next week. Peace.